All right, guys, welcome to episode 20 of the Different Animals Podcast. It's your boy Tyler.
And I'm Ever Castro.
And this week, we are going to be talking about what we're watching, our favorite game sequences, the clips fucking really choking one away, and so the PS5 price review. But first, all right, so let's start with what we've been watching.
Yeah.
So what have you been watching?
Yeah. So this week I finished up Harley Quinn, the show that I mentioned a couple weeks ago on HBO Max. I didn't get a chance to watch it as frequently as I would have wanted. I think I took my time with it more than I have with other series, but I finally finished it. And it was really good. It was the second half of season 2 is unexpectedly genuinely great. I think when I came on here, I think I was halfway through season 1, and I think I said that it was pretty good and that it's just sort of it's a great comedy, but it also, I like the sandbox that it plays in the DC universe. But then in the back half, I know I would say that fits probably all of season 1 and the first half of season 2. But then the back half of season 2, it actually hits like these really interesting dramatic sequences or dramatic episodes and arcs that I found to be really fulfilling, and I thought that they fit really well. It sort of becomes a show about, two broken women who are finding their place in the world, and how they're not using each other to fix each other, but just growing with each other, and mutual growth, and sort of what comes with it, and what it takes. But it was really good, and just as we're recording today, they announced that they're making season 3. Except season 3 is going to be directly from HBO Max. I think I mentioned last time that this show originally was on something called DC Universe, which was like a funky, just like a one-off streaming channel service thing where they had comic books and anything DC related. But apparently, they shut down that whole thing. They're not going to have any more scripted shows other than this one, and they pushed this one over to HBO Max. So it just shows you how much they believe in it if this is the only one that they kept.
Right. Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
I'm never really super into DC. I just something about it. I think I feel like the way the characters in DC comic books are done seems to cut out a lot of the like gray area, if that makes sense. Like Batman doesn't kill people.
Yeah.
And Superman doesn't kill people, and like Superman's like this beacon of justice. Like Wonder Woman, you know what I mean? Like everyone's just very like black and white. No one ever really gets their hands dirty.
Yeah, I feel like,
and you get these random comics. You know what I mean? Like there's plenty of Batman comics, and there's actually people that use that against the Batman comics, but like. There's like Batman specifically is the comic where generally like if you want shit to get dark and gritty, you do a Batman comic that gets dark and gritty. And I actually remember that like I remember reading an older quote about when they were doing a lot of those, and people were like, it's kind of gross now because it kind of seems like every comic book writer that just wants to be like super perverted or super violent just makes a Batman comic and just like does it with the Joker.
Yeah,
because like the Joker at first is kind of just like if you look at like the original Batman, the Joker, while he is like chaotic, it's still like he's the clown prince of crime. You know what I mean? Like he's like doing shit like pie bombs. You know what I mean? And throwing them at people's faces. But like then all of a sudden in might be The Killing Joke. He like there's the possible interpretation that he like raped Commissioner Gordon's daughter. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like things get real dark all of a sudden. Like for a guy that was just a clown that was like kind of chaotic, And so
right.
like a lot of times like I saw an article where people were saying like I think it's just kind of like comic book writers have just turned Batman comics into their own fucking like outlet of just their like deep and darkest desires that are just like not good for the public.
Yeah, yeah.
But
I mean, I
I,
agree, and I think they're definitely. I mean, there's a reason why people sort of gravitate toward either DC or Marvel. I think you can follow both, right? Like,
right.
but I think that they're very different in sort of how they look at the heroes. But no, yeah, I agree, and I think the show actually does a nice job of poking fun at those kind of either self-serious topics or sort of ways that the characters are scripted or set up, but not in a way that it becomes like a parody. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
it strikes a very delicate balance that I appreciate, where it's like a comedy and it pokes fun at itself and it pokes fun at DC sometimes
It
and
like it
Superman.
sprinkles in Deadpool instead of going full there. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. 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 So like little things like there's one sequence where kid Batman's son plays Robin, or he is Robin in this iteration, and
Mhm.
he's sad, and Batman comes up behind him and he's like, "Hey, do you want a sandwich? I made you a sandwich." And he's like, "You didn't make that sandwich, Alfred did." And he's like, "Yeah, but I made Alfred make it."
That's
And so
amazing.
it's stuff like that, and the stuff between her and her crew, like her main people, I think it's Clayface and King Shark and Poison Ivy. I think they're all their stuff together. When they're together, it's like when it works best.
I'll definitely that's one of the ones I'll check out before some of the other ones we talked about, just because I do really enjoy like well done superhero stuff.
Hmm.
So I definitely want to watch that. That
Yeah.
might be what I jump to once I finish Avatar.
Yeah, and it's short. And what I like about it is that like stuff like I'm not gonna say who, but people die. Like villains, there's a lot of villains in it, and they die, and they like straight up like die, like they get
They
killed.
perish.
And then yeah, and so like it's weird seeing something like this where like characters die because most of the time comic book shit they don't die, or they like go I'll get you next time, right?
Yeah,
Well,
or like in the Batman movies, Batman's fucking rolling a tank down the street and firing rockets, and it's like Batman doesn't kill people. It's
yeah,
like, what the
right,
fuck are you
right, right.
talking?
And in this one, like villains die early in season 2. You're like, oh, I guess that's just the last time we see them. Oh, okay, like that's pretty cool. So I do like that. Like I like that there are that the universe changes, right? That it's not the animated series where you send them again to Arkham and then they break out 2 episodes later.
Right.
And so yeah, and so I finished that up, and then I started a show on Hulu called Normal People, and it's based on a book, and it's fucking complete the most opposite different thing to Harley Quinn. The only thing that they have in common is that there's like romance. But this one is about two young adults in Ireland who are from a small town, and it's just like them in their years.
I think I've heard about this. Keep
Yeah,
going. Sorry.
no, yeah, it's they are in high school, or like their equivalent of high school, and then they go to college together, and it's just like them, like sort of falling in love and out of love and back in love and stuff, and it's sort of right now I'm about halfway through it, and it's really good. Like the performances are great. Like they're both of them. I've never seen them in anything before, the guy and the girl,
Hmm.
but they're fucking fantastic. And but I will say that some of the stuff, like the plot stuff that has to happen for them to have hardships, like whether it's like breaking up or being apart from one another, feel a little bit contrived. Like a little bit, it's like, oh, we need something here to make them break up for some reason. Um,
Oh, it's like the things in movies where like two people just refuse to communicate, even though like if they just spoke to each other for a
yep,
second, like it would
yep,
none of
yep.
this conflict
None of
would
it.
arrive.
Yep. It's like that, except very like annoyingly visible. Like stuff where I was like, I literally one episode I paused the TV and I was like, I literally had to look up how far the two cities were apart because they're like, we can't be together because I'm going away for the summer. And I was like, are these motherfuckers going like to China? And I was like, no, it's just a city 2.5 hours away. I literally was like pissed because they were doing that. But other than like some of the stuff like that, which is like, sort of plot focused. Everything else I think is great, but then again, I have a little bit of a soft spot for not necessarily like teen dramas, but just like teen dramas where it's like two outcasts, and the guy's maybe like popular and the girl isn't, or the girl's popular and the guy isn't, and they like aren't supposed to be together type
Oh,
shit.
so you
Like
blew your load for the Breakfast Club.
but not quite. But even then, it's like not like I don't know, like not comedy wise, but like serious wise. Like if you've ever seen the movie, The Spectacular Now,
I
it's got
haven't.
a Miles Teller and Shailene Woodley, and it's like sort of like realistic drama, like teen shit. Um, it was my favorite movie that year, The Spectacular Now. So I just really like those, and this is like what that is. And so I've enjoyed it. The performances are great. I should be finish it up by the time we record the next episode. But yeah, the one thing that I sort of has held me back from being like, I love this show. The show's awesome, is those plot things where literally they'll be like,
Those are the ones I feel like where like you are like you're like into it, and then something happens, and you're just like, why? Like I shouldn't enjoy this.
right.
Like,
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt after. I mean, literally episode 7, where I was texting and tweeting at the start of episode 7, which is where like something happens. And I was literally tweeting like, "What the fuck? Like, dude, like really? Like, you guys are gonna break me? Like this? Like, you guys? I was on board until this. Like, it's literally like the minorest inconvenience is doing something drastic here." And then at the end, you sort of it's explained or it's revealed that it was a misunderstanding. And I was like, "Oh my god! Like, if you guys just talked, like, oh my god!" But
it's
other
like a
than that,
misunderstanding, and it was a super obvious misunderstanding.
it's like
That,
yeah.
like
Not
you
even
guys
like
really could have like. There's no way you thought the other person was on the same page and just mad. Like,
right. So yeah, but other than that, wholeheartedly recommend it if you like dramas, if you like teen dramas, if you like just more low key, sort of not slow burn, but more low key storytelling, not like Harley Quinn or anything else that I've mentioned recently.
Mhm.
But yeah, I recommend it if you can get over the fucking story shit.
So I will say, what's funny is that like I don't know if I've talked about. Have I told you like the stuff my wife enjoys to watch?
My wife.
My wife.
No, I don't think you have.
Fuck. I forgot you mentioned that. So like, now I'm just gonna have to check myself every time. My significant other. But she really fucking enjoys trash TV, and like, not even just. It's like I don't even just mean like reality TV shows,
Hmm.
but I mean like, just like really like the Vampire Diaries, and that shit's atrocious.
Yeah. I see. I think well, Sydney likes that too. But it's so interesting because like I have met throughout my life, um, like women who are like just brilliant. Like I've just met like who have been like you are like some of the smartest people I know, and they'll be like yeah, and I love watching like Love Island, and I'm like what? How does that click with me? But then I try to stop and be like all right, maybe
Be like, I like sports. I just like watching people run into each other. Super
exactly.
hard.
So I go like, I do like fucking dudes who I know are literally bashing their skulls into mush into each other, and I literally go and play a little side game about it. So I sort of cut them some slack, but still you
Yeah,
go like,
but like, yeah, that's the thing is like, at least like, but like Vampire Diaries, I've sat and watched it with her, and I have this thing, I have this real fucking problem where like I can watch anything. Like I will, bro. If Julian is in the room and Puppy Dog Pals is on, right, and Julian walks out of the room, and like, I'll just keep watching Puppy Dog Pals because I'm a fucking idiot, bro. I'm like into it. I'm like, yo, what is fucking Rolly gonna do next? Like, what? Like, I'd like, I can just for some reason like as long as it's not actively the most boring shit, like as long as there's stuff happening like it doesn't matter if it's bad or good. I will like keep paying attention to it because I'm the worst. But like Vampire Diaries has so many moments where like we're watching and then something will happen and like I'll just turn to her. Like I'll just turn my head. She won't even look at me. She'll just keep looking at the TV and I'm like, you know that was terrible, right? And she's like, shut up. But like it's just like dumb plot points like for no reason. Like, and it's just all the time. I'm just like, what? Like, why do you watch this?
I guess it's like I don't know, like the TV equivalent of like just the worst type of potato chip, like not
Yeah.
even Lay's. I'm talking about a great value potato chip.
Right. You just like, oh, these chips are here.
Yeah.
But like, as funny as like I know it's terrible, I keep watching it. If it's on the TV and I'm in there, I will catch myself like wasting 10 minutes following the story. And then like I've asked questions. Like I've been like, wait, so why is this happening? And then immediately I'm like, why the fuck am I invested? I know this is terrible.
It's literally like I said, but you can't just have one.
Oh fuck. So yeah, that's yeah, so as long as normal people isn't that bad, I'll fucking end up watching it.
It's like
I'll
the
be
prestige version of it. But
but yeah. As far as what I've been watching is I've watched like 3 more episodes of Avatar. I don't watch a whole lot. But I've watched more episodes of Avatar. Still really good.
sweet, cool. Yeah. Like I said, I think a couple weeks ago, maybe last week. It just let me know when you get to season 2, and we can talk about that because that's my favorite, but not by a lot. But it is my favorite season.
Gotcha. So yeah, I will say. I mean, like, if I talk about it, is it gonna be spoilers? Because I mean, this thing's old as shit, and then we even talked about it forever ago in the podcast.
Yeah, maybe like when you finish it, we could do like a quick 10-minute spoiler discussion. Like
it's not even really a super spoiler discussion because, like I said, I'm not even finished with season 1.
No, yeah,
but actually, here's what I'll do. I won't use any names. But a guy in a mask has to help Aang out. And I was like, yo, this dude's a fucking G. Like, he's got 2 swords. He's just fucking going at it. And I was, for some reason, not expecting that reveal at all. Of who it was in the mask.
Of who it was? Were you like, oh, shit?
Yeah, I saw it for a split second because they give you, like... It's funny because they give you, like... Like, there's the normal, like... Before the reveal, you can start to kind of tell. But, like, they give you, like, an even quicker one. Like, right before that. Where, like, you... Like, I don't even know if... Obviously, they want you to see it because they wouldn't show it to you if not. Yeah. But, like, I don't feel like it was, like, the standard. Like, you just happened... I happened to see, like... a color, and I was like, "Oh fuck, okay, that's who that is," because that dude was balling the fuck out. But yeah, that's it. But I think that's actually the most recent episode I watched. If you know which one I'm talking about.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so let's go from that to our favorite game sequences, and so we're gonna do top 3. Well, maybe not even top 3 for me, because like I don't know that. If I really sat down for an extended period of time, like I love these 3, but I don't think they're like. If someone suggested something to me, you know what I mean. Like, there's a solid chance that I could be like, "Oh no, that is better."
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree as well. Sort of. I picked the 3 that sort of came first to mind.
Right.
But like you said, I think favorite game sequences. The more I thought about it, it was sort of bigger than I anticipated. Where I was like, maybe if I would pick like top 3 like chase sequences in video games, or maybe top 3 like I don't know, scariest sequences, or whatever.
Right.
But I think even just sequences, I think this is a good start, and I think I agree with you. Or like if you asked me tomorrow, or if I would have put more thought than I did into it, I would be like, well, 10 years ago I played this game and it had this one sequence.
Yeah, I definitely noticed I have some recency bias. Like they're not all super new, but it was like I was like, I've been playing games for a long time. There's no way I like don't have any earlier than this. Like,
yeah, actually, I mean there is. I'll have a runner also ran after we get through that. I literally just popped into my mind, but I do want to keep these 3. But we can go.
Well, actually, I was going to start with an honorable mention that wasn't good enough to make the list, but I just thought was hilarious, and it sticks with me.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to do your also, Rand, you can. Or if you want to wait till the end for yours, you can.
I'll wait for mine just because it isn't that big, but you can start with yours.
Okay, mine's not that big either, but it's like we talked about Asura's Wrath a while back. So there's a moment in that game where, like, this whole game you've played as this guy who's like a demigod and like gets screwed, and basically just through nothing but pure willpower and rage, like has worked his way back out and gotten back at the people that have done it. So let's say the king or like the top guy. You know, like if we're talking gods, we're like you're Kratos when you go to kill Zeus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you kill the equivalent of Zeus, and you're like it's over. And then if you've gotten enough points, like if you've gotten a high enough score in all the missions up to this point, or you can
Mm-hmm.
go back and replay them, and you get a separate ending, which is where you kill Zeus, and then you get um this little guy that's kind of been with you the whole way, just kind of like encouraging you, and hasn't really been important yet, other than he
Mm-hmm.
seems to always know more than he's letting on. He appears, and like you come to find out that it's the creator of like the god was like the head god of like this, not even this realm, but like this scenario almost, and
Mm-hmm.
then you like see the puppeteer behind the puppets. You know what I mean? And he's like, I am like I'm the creator of all worlds. I'm blah blah blah. And he's like, and I need a guardian for each world. And he's like, so I've continuously restarted these worlds and done it until I find someone that ends up being strong enough that I think should be a guardian. And then
Mm-hmm.
I can start to do that for the next world. And Asura is the first person, like, well, anyways, and he's like, so you've exceeded my wildest expectations. You're absolutely like the person I want for this job. And
Mm-hmm.
he reaches out his hand, right? And this whole thing revolves around like the reason you're so mad is because your daughter has a special attunement to the earth, and they in order like the reason they fucked you was so they could use your daughter without you getting pissed off about it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's basically like a slave, kind of like torture to use her power. And so the whole time it's like pure like, nah, fuck this. Like I don't care what. I don't even care if you have good reasons. Like you fucked with my family and I'm taking care of business. And so this dude hands out his arm like he's giving you a handshake, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you get one option. You can press A to extend your arm. And I was like, there's
Mm-hmm.
no way. Like why would I shake this dude's hand? Like why am I gonna agree to this when I've gone through this whole game basically just mad at everyone because of this one slight? And like this dude is ultimately responsible for that slight as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like in my head I'm like, he's gonna like grab the dude's hand. I was like, there's no way it's actually just gonna be a handshake. And I was like, he's gonna grab the dude's hand and maybe like try to like crush it and then like start a fight or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bro, it's a close up of the dude's hand, like a close up of the dude. You can see his face and his arm reaching out to you. You press A to extend arm, and all of a sudden,
Mm-hmm.
you just punch that man square in the face. Like you don't even see your arm come forward. There's just like, and it's like cartoon. Like your fist and like his face is crunched against the side of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just like you pressed Y to extend arm, and I was just expending like or like extend hand, I think it might be. And it's like
Mm-hmm.
you press extend hand, and then it's just like fist, and I like died laughing. That shit killed me so much. So that's my runner up because it's totally not worth any actual gaming sequence, but like
Mm-hmm.
I laughed out loud when it happened. So that's my
That's your
honorable
runner-up.
mention right now. So yeah, but what's your first one on your actual list?
Yeah. So my first one, I only put three just because I figured it would allow us to talk about it more in depth and give backspace and context as to like the scene and stuff.
Right.
But my first one, I'm gonna go with, I guess it's my oldest one on the list, which is the Berserker. Berserker from Gears of War, so from 2006. So in the game, you're fighting on a planet whose name I forget, but there's like a horde of like these monsters that come out of the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and they take over the world. And so you're trying to stop them and destroy their nest or some shit, if I remember correctly. But one of the monsters that comes out is a Berserker, which is this blind creature that's just fucking massive. He's like a tree, and he charges at you like full speed, like a railroad fucking train. And the only way you can beat him is with the special gun that's like part of the sequence. But the first time you
Mm-hmm.
beat him, or you meet him, or I think the time you face him, you have to like get his attention and then jump out of the way and then shoot him with that special gun. And I just remember playing that on my 360 and like being terrified. Actually, no. The first time you play him, you just have to move him out of the way so that he breaks down some walls for you, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and so I just literally just remember that. But I remember being terrified. It was just fucking terrifying because it's like, up until then, I'd only played I think like Madden and maybe like some simpler games on the 360. And back then it was like the new generation. So I'm like
Right.
there like fucking like, oh my god, this looks amazing. This is like next level video gaming.
Hmm.
But yes, that's the sequence. It's the Berserker sequence, and then eventually you do beat him. And I think you face a few more throughout the series, but
Yeah.
it really isn't the same like that first time.
Right. Yeah, that's definitely a good one. The Gears of War games, it really like were solid for like the first three, and then I feel like they kind of fell off.
Yeah.
But like I do remember that being like, and the other thing for Gears of War I remember like specifically is the final boss like with the bats or the
Yeah,
locusts.
Rom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Rom. That shit was intense. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the
Yeah.
first time you see. There's a lot of those in video games. It's like the first time you see this like massive thing that you just don't have an answer for. It's
Mm-hmm.
always terrifying. Like I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed
Mm-hmm.
to do. So definitely that. But all right, so mine is also going to be my oldest one on my list, which came out in '07, which is the final mission in Halo 3. The
Mm-hmm.
final mission in Halo 3 is
You're
so
leaving the
yeah,
Halo.
I think so. I think you're blowing up the Halo and you're rolling out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um
It's
and
you and the Arbiter and a Warthog.
right. And it's just like everything's blowing up. You're escaping like there's just I think flutter everywhere, which is why you're blowing it up. And like as you're escaping, the flutter basically just like 28-day later zombies. They look more like zombies. They're not like people. But I just mean like
Mm-hmm.
fast. Like I'll just throw myself at you kind of zombie
Yeah.
deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Not slow meandering ones. But and then you're just like on this warthog trying to get off, and the whole thing's exploding, and especially near the end, because then you're on like this like little outrigging almost, and like it's completely falling apart while you're trying to drive out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's just like that was one of like the first ones I can remember where like it got my adrenaline going. Like I was like, oh shit, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
And that music, that
Yeah, that it had that absolutely like intense music as everything's falling apart, exploding. You're on a fucking basically a jeep. You know what I mean? Just like launching over ramps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it was just it's super dope.
Oh yeah, dude. Same one. Same sort of. I like 360, dude. Like you get that first hint of real, true like next level gaming. You're like, holy shit! Like, I can't believe it. I know some people think that this one is derivative of the first games, which you are also on a warthog going through. I think the not High Charity, the Pillar of Autumn.
Yeah.
And it's blowing up. But I mean, I think they're different enough. I mean, just because you get on a jeep and you're like, driving down and shit's attacking you. I mean, there's like fucking 20 sequences of that throughout the whole
Right.
series.
Yeah.
So-
That's like at that point you could just say it like every chase scene is derivative of the
of
first
another
one.
Halo one. Yeah, yeah. But I even back then, or even today, I mean, like every time I see those, because I remember seeing those comparisons when the game came out. But even now, I think that they're dissimilar enough that they sort of stand on their own. And then the ending is great. You jump on the ship and you're fucking escaping the cutscene sequence, and then
Yeah.
the portal closes and you get stuck in space, and the Arbiter makes it through because he's on the front of the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that whole sequence is awesome, and I definitely remember playing it for the first time as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, our both of our next two, I think, are from we have similar games but different moments in them, or not similar games. I think we have the same games, just different
Yeah.
moments in the games.
Yeah.
So, what's your next one?
Yeah, my next one is the twist in BioShock. So this,
That's just a
spoilers
banger.
for a 13-year-old game. If you haven't played it, it is truly one of my favorite games of all time. And I think a game that I probably should have waited to play for later, because I did appreciate it in 2007 when I first played it. I remember I got it for Christmas, played it on easy because it was fucking terrifying. But I don't think I appreciated the sort of the art direction, the design, and just how like good in terms of a story it was.
Yeah, that one
until
I think is one that you need like. That's one that like as an adult I feel like is different. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Than it is as a
yes,
kid,
yes.
regardless of how
Yep.
smart you are.
Yeah, and I feel like I need to check out the remaster for the PS4 because I would not mind replaying it. I think it's that good. But the twist is happens halfway through the game. The guy who you've been chasing the whole time, who you've been trying to kill the whole time, with the help of this guy named Atlas, um, you come to find out that he isn't. I mean, he is a bad guy, but he's not the main bad guy. And that the guy who you have been working with, he uses a phrase to control you because you've been brainwashed, or you are basically a puppet. And as it happens, you're like, holy shit, and you realize that you have been used up until that point. And it's a fantastic twist, and it sort of turns the whole game on its head in a really interesting way, and sort of propels it to the finale, which the finale I don't love, just because it sort of becomes that sort of same like big blue guy, you know?
Yeah, I also forgot that wasn't the actual ending.
Yeah, because at
Like,
the end, you know,
it
you
feels
fight.
like it feels like the end. Like
Yeah,
it feels like such a like everything's cool. Like, boy, if they'd have ended that game right there, like if they had made the game longer in between those two things and ended it at that fucking twist, woo! That shit would have been so like I'd have been devastated.
I would have been like, wow, fuck this! Like, what is this? But yeah, and it feels like the end, but it also feels weirdly short when you get to it. You're like, okay, like what's going on here? This is too easy, right? But yeah, so that's my sequence, the twist in BioShock. I guess I didn't give proper context in terms of what it's about, but it's just a guy in, I think, like the 1950s. He's on a plane over the Atlantic. It crashes, and he gets to this lighthouse, which is a doorway to this underwater city named Rapture, where it's supposed to be this perfect utopia that was eventually destroyed by sort of rampant science and rampant drug use and vacuum. It's basically a vacuum where anybody can do whatever they want. And when he finds it, it's falling apart, and the guy who's trying to help him out, he's trying to take over the city, but he tricks him.
Right. So, that's a perfect segue into my BioShock moment, which is that, like, I feel like it might just be the ride down. So you find the lighthouse. I think you climb up. Maybe I don't know if you climb to the top of the lighthouse, like inside, but you definitely go inside the lighthouse, and then I believe there's just an elevator, and it's a pretty long elevator. And I feel like the whole time it's like giving you ads for Rapture. It's like in this utopia, blah blah blah, like as you're going down, like a PA system. You know what I mean? Like just like a general tour would like tell you everything. And then like as you start getting to the bottom, like it gets dark because it's at the bottom of the sea. And then by the end, it's like pitch black. You get there, and you're in this like canister, and it's just got like a window in the front, and like. The first thing you see is it's like pitch black with like one lone light in the middle of the room, if I remember correctly. And you see like a person slowly backing up, and then you see something jump around in the darkness, and you're like, oh fuck, what is that? And then that bitch just fucking like pins the person to the glass that's like you're in and fucking rips them apart and like kills them. And I just remember like you going into it expecting like a grand city. Because that's like what you've been told so far on the way down. And the very first thing you see is someone viciously get killed in a dark room. And you're in a capsule, and the capsule just fucking opens. It's like, welcome to Rapture. And I was like, I don't want to be here. This is awful.
You sort of push the elevator button, like, back up, back up, back up.
Yeah. So this is fucking terrifying. What's funny to me is I think the twist is like one of the greatest moments in video games. Like, I think even regardless of what you tell me, I think the twist would still be up there somewhere. But, like, I think that's a testament to how good the storytelling is in that game. Because if I'm being 100% honest, I don't like the way that game plays at all. Like, I don't... Like, the aiming is sloppy to me. Like, I don't really know how to explain it. I just feel like I can't hit anything. Like, I feel like I'm just fucking, like... I feel like my arm's made out of spaghetti. Like the character's arm's made out of spaghetti. Like when you go to like aim, I just like go too far always, and it just feels sloppy, and I just don't enjoy how it plays.
It feels like no, I know what you mean, and I remember when I played it. You know, just sort of if you want to shoot it, you just go, just like fucking shoot wherever, right?
Yeah, you shoot in its general like direction.
In the general direction of a thing. Like there's no sort of like, all right, let me be careful, let me snipe, or like there's no sort of more tactical aspect to it. It's much more. Open, much more boxy light than other ones.
Yeah, and so I don't like the way it plays, but I will forever put that in one of my like top games or games that people like should absolutely play at some point. Like that's a testament to how great the storytelling is because I don't even like the fucking game really, and I'm like, now you got to play Bioshock. So yeah,
Oh,
that's my Bioshock moment.
yeah. And I think did you ever play Infinite, the third one, the
I did
second
not.
sequel?
I have it. I have it, but I have not played it.
It has a similar sequence where you like get to a lighthouse and you go into the lighthouse and it takes you to the city. But this one it's the opposite to a certain extent, where like you go up into the clouds and you see this fucking just beautiful, just like city in the clouds, and it's amazing. But of course, it's all a facade because it's a piece of shit underneath. But that game is awesome. Some of the politics are a little iffy, um, but it has a similar sort of whoa. You get to this new city and you see like this sort of amazing presentation of it.
Right.
In a way that makes you want to replay it. But the back end of the story is a little iffy.
Okay. At some point, I'm probably gonna go back or go and play it, and it'll have to be after I play 1 and 2. And so I'll keep that in mind. I'll let you know what I think about it.
Yeah, you should. I would skip 2. I felt like 2 is so disposable.
Yeah, because you just play as a Big Daddy, right?
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I played 2 already, so I'll probably still play it again just because. And I feel like I like 2 more than 1 in terms of like actual gameplay, but but yeah, I'll probably end up playing both of them and then playing Infinite at some point. Yep. I'm kind of at a point right now with my games where like I'm kind of cleaned up on most of them. Like I finished Ghost of Tsushima and like we've just been playing Overwatch, which actually us winning a competitive match should have made my top 3 moments because that shit never happens, bro. Like, our group gets stomped. All right, so shout out to all of our friends who listen to this and understand. But yeah, so like I think I might go back and start those soon since right now I'm not like in the middle of any of those kind of games.
Oh yeah.
So what's your last moment?
Yeah, so my last one is one that I actually just played, I think about a year or so ago, or 2 years ago, maybe. It was recently, but it's the first time you meet the stranger in God of War, the 2018 reboot or sequel reboot game. And so just to give you some backstory in terms of my experience with God of War, I never played any of the old ones on the PS2 or PS3. I never played them. I mean, I know what sort of roughly what they're about. You know, it's about God of War, and you know his kids were killed, and you know then he goes like kills all the gods in Greek mythology. And so then going into this one, it's like it's more grounded, more realistic, but it's sort of the same gameplay. And so I started playing it. In the first few minutes, it's sort of the same. It's like, you know, you just beat these like zombies and you throw your axe and you have your shield. It's very sort of that like high camera stuff gameplay that sort of is what the series is.
Right.
And then about 10 minutes in, after you know the basic controls, you go back to your house in the game with your son and you get a knock on the door. And it's this character played by Jeremy Davies, who's in movies. He's like in Saving Private Ryan. He was in Lost for a few episodes. And he's this guy who's like, I know who you are. Like, you think you can just hide away here? And you sort of go like, oh shit, like this guy knows that he's like the fucking Kratos from before.
And also,
and this fight breaks out that is fucking nuts. Like, sort of just blows your mind. The stranger punches Kratos and he fights like over a house and they're throwing trees and giant fucking boulders at each other and just beating the shit out of each other. And it's like a movie intercut with like the fighting sequences, which is actually different than what you've played so far.
Right.
So that was the first time where I was like, oh shit, like this game is like fucking serious business. Which I think happens like 2 or 3 more times throughout the game. It's like when you fight a dragon and then the ending, but all of them are awesome, but it's not quite like that first time when you meet the stranger.
Right, because the fact that there's a lot you don't know is like it amplifies what you do know. And that's like, there's a knock on the door, and he immediately turns to Atreus. He's like, you fucking hide. Like, don't you dare fucking do anything. Don't be seen. Don't come out. You fucking hide. And that's it. Because, like, he immediately knows something's up. Because it's very obvious that this whole area where you live, there's nobody there. You know what I mean? That knock on the door happens. He's like, you need to fucking go. Like right now, you need to get the fuck out of here. Something bad's about to happen. And then you knock on the
Mm-hmm.
door, and it's like you said, it's played by Jeremy Davies. So he's like kind of like real slender and just like you're playing as Kratos, who's this jacked fucking
Just
dude with a
giant,
beard,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
bald, just fucking brolic, and like he's like, I know who you are, and you're like the whole time you're like, nah, this dude's in for a problem, and so Kratos fucking hits him, and I think like he just like turns his head, like it just looks like a normal punch, and I'm like immediately was like that's weird, because I feel like if I
Mm-hmm.
just rock the shit out of this dude, he should be flying.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
then he turns and hits you, and you go flying, and you're like, oh, hold this whole
Mm-hmm.
thing up. This is whole different. Like
Yep. Yep. Yep.
this whole fucking thing's different. So that's definitely like a very like super eye opening moment, and like gets you in a good mood for the rest of the game. You know what I mean? Like you're ready to see what's gonna happen next, from the moment that happens.
Yep.
So mine is also gonna be from God of War, and
Get
it's
your last one. Yeah.
different moment for my last one, which is that just to quickly do a little more of a summary on the first three, like it's he has white skin because his wife and son were killed by him. Um, Ares tricks him into going into this town, and you're not really sure if it's just like a matter of, or at least me, I'm not. I don't know if he was like literally like hallucinating, for lack of a better word. Like I don't know if he was shown something different and doesn't realize it's a wife and kid, or if it's literally just like he's the like Ares is training him to be like an agent of war, and so it's just like uncontrollable rage, and he does it
Mm-hmm.
and immediately notices, and then I think a older like shaman like says like you're going to wear the shame on your body, and that's why it's white. And so then he goes through with these fucking blades of chaos, and kills Ares, and then Zeus wrongs him, and he kills Zeus. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then you open up the new God of War with an axe, and it's like a very different thing because if nothing else, with Kratos is these two blades with chains around his arms. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so like what you've learned is that like his whole thing has been trying to put his past behind him and become better as a father, as a person, and like in he's not even in the same universe anymore. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's not. It's different. We're in Norse mythology now. He's trying to move on and trying to learn from his past. And so I can't remember exactly what causes it. I feel like Atreus gets taken, right?
Yes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Atreus gets taken, which is his son, and he's like he realized like you go back to the house that you start at, and at the very beginning he's like don't. I feel like he at some point he tells him like don't go in, like don't open the door, like the bottom trap door. I feel like you get that info before you know what's in there, and then
Yeah.
like he starts
It's
walking
it's
back to the house,
yeah.
and you're like hold on. Like I started to get an inkling before we started going. Like I was like, oh fuck. And so you get to the trapdoor, you open it, and it's the fucking blades of chaos, and you're like, okay, this is what's going on now, because it's like the ultimate like Kratos is done playing games. Like he's like you took his son, it's a fucking rap, and now it's time to like get to business. You know what I mean? Because like his axe whole thing is like the axe is like a memento of his wife. You know what I mean? His dead wife, and so it's like there's a lot of love, like kind of is the main emotion associated with the axe. You know what I mean? Like every time he talks about the axe, he talks about his wife,
Mm-hmm.
his wife, and then and then it was just like immediately it was like. Nah, fuck this. Like, we're burning it all down. Like, he brings out the blades, and it was just such an intense moment of, like, oh, it's like, we're playing this game for real now. And also, it was like super weird for me because I remember the whole time I was playing with the axe, I was like, I don't know how they're gonna make the blades work because everything with the axe is very straightforward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you're
Yeah.
attacking the thing in front of you, and everything with the blades in all older God of War games has been like I'm attacking everything around me all the time. I'm
Yeah,
a
it's very
whirling
like
dervish of
cartoony,
blades.
like yeah, like just sort of like the Tasmanian devil.
Right.
Like this one's like it seems like this one's like heavier, and like the powers are like more grounded, and like the magic's just like the most barest magic it can be.
Right. And so like getting those, I was like, holy shit, how is this gonna work? And it actually I feel like they did it pretty well. Like that
Hmm.
it didn't feel like they changed the blades like tremendously to make it fit.
Yeah.
But like it still felt like it worked in the game. But like I just remember that moment of you walking like because I feel like it's a long walk back to the house, and you start to get. I think maybe you row a boat for a good bit of it. And it's just like, oh, shit's about to get real.
And then they do the music like.
Yeah, yeah. So it's just that was like one of my top gaming moments too in that game. So those are our top threes. All of those are fucking dope. So in conclusion, play BioShock, play Halo 3, play Gears of War, and then play the new God of War.
Yeah.
So
can't go wrong with any of them. Yeah.
Exactly. Speaking of can't going wrong, not being able to go wrong, let's talk about what went wrong for the Clippers.
Yeah, the LA Clippers. My gosh, poor bastards.
I'm not gonna believe this, but they didn't make it to the finals.
And not only did they not make it to the finals, but I think the fact that they blew a 3-1 lead,
right,
is just what it's like a cherry on top. So like, sort of to give you like a backstory.
Also to fucking the Nuggets, who have Jamal Murray, who's a baller, and Jokic, who's a baller. But Jokic is you could put Jokic in front of me right now, and even at 7 foot tall, I'd be like, nah, this is one of those 7 foot dudes that doesn't play basketball.
Yes, he's not like he's probably like not one of the best passers in the league, one of the best centers in the league. Now he's amazing. Him, and then even the bench. I mean, what's his name? Michael Porter.
Yep.
He's turned out to be a pretty good pick. I know people were a little bit skeptical of them picking him that highly in the draft a couple years ago,
especially after a back injury. You know what I mean? Like those are like. Anytime someone hurts their back, it's like, okay, we probably need to stop now.
I mean, definitely a gamble. Yeah. It's like one of those things. It's like either you fucking like, you come out looking like the smartest bastards in the room, or you come out looking like just the stupidest.
Right. It's like, yeah, it's either like you took the guy with back problems, he turned out great, and everyone's like, oh my god, you guys like nailed it.
Waiver on him. Like, you guys are geniuses. How did you know?
Or it's like he fucking never recovers, and you're like, duh, he had fucking back problems, bro.
Yeah.
My man had back problems at the age of fucking 19. Of course he didn't come out right.
Who was the guy? Dwan Blair. He didn't have ACLs. Like, what did you expect?
Exactly.
And so, like, it happened a couple of days ago when they got upset, or they collapsed. And I remember it was like the 9 o'clock game. And I was like, damn, that's kind of late. And like, I was checking the halftime score, and they were tied or they were close. And I was like, I'm just going to get ready for bed. So I got ready for bed, brushed my teeth, did the whole thing, got shit ready for the next morning. And then like, I was in bed, and I was like, oh shit, the game. Let me check the score. And it was like 2 minutes to go, and they were down by 15. I was like, bitch, let me get on Twitter, because this thing is about to fucking explode. And it did, dude. It was amazing. Like, people were shitting about how Doc Rivers is the only coach to have been
blown a 3-1 lead in 3 decades.
3 times. How they
He's done it in 3 different decades.
Oh yeah, 3 different decades. How he fucking they gave up more first round picks than Paul George had field goals. How like Kawhi and like 3 other guys had fewer points than Jamal Murray, and just, oh man, just amazing stuff.
Bro, here's the deal. I was in the same boat. I was getting ready for bed, and I checked the score, and I checked it at like the beginning of the 4th quarter, and it was like, I want to say the Nuggets were up like 10. And I was like, 10 is the kind of lead that doesn't really mean anything, but it is important. I don't know if that makes sense, but like 10 can go away in a fucking heartbeat. Like you can lose 10 quick. But if you're down by 10, you're like, we really got to fucking close this gap, or we're going to have some problems. You know? 10 is like a tipping point, I think. Like 10 doesn't mean you're out of it at any means, but like 10, you really need to start coming back, or else like if it gets to 15 or 20, it's not looking good for you. And which is true for every team except for the Clippers, because I think the Clippers have blown some huge leads to like 20 and 15 and 20.
Well, they were like, what was it? They were in game 5. They were up by 16, right? Yeah. And then they just blew that game, and then they fucking got blown out in game 6, and then they got fucking just destroyed in game 7.
Yeah, and it's like, what killed me though is in the 4th quarter, like the Clippers are down, like halfway through the 4th quarter, they're down by like 15, and I stopped watching with like 3 minutes left, I think, and they were up by 20, and so like, you're going through the 4th quarter, the Clippers are not getting it back, and you can start to see like the desperation creep in, And then you see like Kawhi try like a terrible shot. Like he's just trying to like he does a Euro step where the dude doesn't even remotely get by the dude and just like kind of throws it like straight up to try and get it over him and it just doesn't work. And you're like, we're just grasping for straws here now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then my favorite thing is that Paul George shot a 3 from the corner that was so bad it fucking clanked off the side of the backboard.
Oh yeah.
Bro, that shit killed me. I was so fucking, I was dying because it like he shot it and the fucking announcer's like Paul George off the backboard.
Off the backboard. It was Mike Breen. He was like, "Oh my god!" Did you see the Mark Phillips video about this where he pretends to be Doc Rivers?
Yeah, he's like, "I know I'm fired, but y'all are trash.
But y'all are trash.
I want you to know that all of you are trash.
If I see you on another top 10 list, I'm gonna kill somebody. I'm just gonna kill somebody."
Oh, dude, I saw someone take the fucking The best thing ever is 1, how serious Paul George takes himself. 2, that fucking Gatorade commercial. Because
yes, dude, why would he ever agree to do that?
Up,
every time
he fucks up, it's like, bing! Here's this Gatorade commercial. Ball game. Fucking
ball game. And then just the intercut, like him hitting the backboard. Like, why would he agree to do that when he has never done that? Like, it makes no sense. It's like Romo being like, Super Bowl victory. We did it. It'd be like, you've never done that. You've never even come close.
Yeah, that's... it kills me every time. And it makes it so great every time Paul George inevitably gets knocked out too early. Like,
Jesus. And so I know I think him and Kawhi both have 1 year left. I think Montrezl Harrell, I think he's up for a contract and he was the 6th man of the year, so he might stay or go. But like, it's like I feel like them and the Rockets are both in the same boat where it's like, what are you gonna do? You literally shipped away your future. For
and didn't win it now.
Russ and for Paul George, dude, like they gave up so much for Paul George, and now they have nothing. And next year, Kawhi and Paul George might both be gone.
Yeah, there's no way Kawhi's gonna stay. There's no way Kawhi's gonna stay. And if they don't do better next year, he's out of there.
And like, why didn't he? Yeah, that's why people were like, this guy left for Paul George. He could have gone to LeBron and AD and just guaranteed ring, or he could have stayed in Toronto and built a dynasty.
That's what he should have done. He should have stayed in Toronto because Siakam,
Nick Nurse, and Siakam, and
Kyle Lowry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and even Fred VanVleet.
Yeah, he could have just stayed there. And first of all, like the thing is like if he'd have stayed there, he could have had both. Like, he could have had, like, a good second player, because Siakam is legitimately a good second player. And he could have still been, like, the guy that did it solo. You know what I mean? Like, that was his thing. Is like, Kawhi is the first guy that didn't have, like, a superstar cast around him and still made it happen in a while.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah. He could have had both. He could have actually had it, but because he was there before the guy was big, like, he still would have been the guy on the team.
Yeah.
And also, could you think of a better franchise fit than the quietest guy on earth being on the only team in Canada? Like, it just fits so well.
It just fits. And then, like, you have one of the best coaches in, like, you have the fucking coach of the year. I mean, I'm sure he didn't know that, but he coached pretty well in the finals. Like,
yeah.
You know, and I know they got some lucky breaks, so maybe that's what maybe he thinks, I won, yes, I earned it, but they also didn't have KD or Steph or Clay. So, like, But you must know that the guys on your team are, I don't know, like...
Yeah, I don't know, but, like, also Paul George has got to be so mad because they were talking about him going to the Lakers. And Paul George has got to be like, I could have went to the Lakers and did nothing. I could have just went to the Lakers and did nothing and been bad and still won a championship and not get made fun of on my old fucking Gatorade commercial forever.
Fucking play and the playoff P,
yeah,
dude. He just like, why does he do that?
Like, I literally haven't seen playoff P. Incorrect.
Like, why does he keep setting himself up for these? Like, okay, so yes, he was good when he was with the Pacers in, I think it was 2012. I think they were up like 2-1 against the Heat, right? Like that's the closest they've come. I think it was the Eastern Conference Finals, and it was him, Roy Hibbert, I think George Hill, and I forget who else. But it's like, you think that's playoff P? Like, fucking Eastern Conference Finals? Like, you're setting yourself up for so much slander. Like, what do you...
Yeah, you had, like, one big series. You know what I mean? Like, you were a pretty good player, and you had, like, one big playoff run and everyone was like ready to anoint you, and you decided to just roll with it.
Exactly.
Like, you're like, I'm not gonna be humble at all. I'm gonna
Yeah.
just set myself up for if shit goes wrong, I look like an asshole for the rest of my life.
And like even like Giannis, who is a 2-time MVP, people are shitting on him because he did the crown thing. He's like, "No, I wear this now," and it's like,
Yeah. I mean,
No,
at least he's not playoff B though.
I am. I feel bad for the Clippers, and I think I really don't know where they go from here. I mean, I know next year they'll be good, but everybody else will be a year older. Um, it's kind of how we talked about the Cowboys a couple weeks ago, where it's like, yeah, like cool, they didn't make the playoffs, but they look good. But then it's like, well, then next year everybody's older, right? Like everybody's maybe a little bit more dinged up. Everybody isn't where they were even a year before.
right.
So, I mean, I feel a little bad, but then I remember that Doc Rivers, he was there when Duke beat Carolina in 2012 off of that Austin Rivers shot. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck Doc Rivers. I remember you celebrating. I remember.
That's
I
amazing.
seen it.
I seen it. So who do you think? Who do you think is going to the finals?
I want to say the Heat and the Lakers.
I
Lakers.
also am going to say the Heat and the Lakers. I
Yeah.
think everyone, the Celtics are the favorite, but like I just for some reason I'm really thinking the Heat are going to make it, and then like I'm ready to see Jimmy Butler just fucking dog it out with LeBron James. You know what I mean? Like I'm ready for that, and they're not on the same skill level, but fucking the guy that I don't know how to say his last name, Bam Adebayo.
Bam. Yeah.
Bam Adebayo. It's not a bad matchup for Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
So I'm ready to see that series. The only
And they
thing
got
is
the
like,
shooters, and they got Jimmy, who's sort of like the X factor, like you were saying. Yeah.
yeah, and I think if the Celtics make it, I don't think they stand much of a chance. You know what I mean? I just think they don't match up as well against the Lakers. I think the Heat would be a better series. So that's what I'm rooting for. Definitely gonna watch that. Was excited for Clippers Lakers. And then that didn't work out.
But dude, I feel the same. Like I was like, oh, that would have been cool because that would have been sort of what everybody's been waiting for all year. But then the how they went out, the collapse, the collapse in the games themselves. It's just, to like the Nuggets, like not even like I know the Nuggets are good, but like to not even like to the Lakers, right? Like it's just
right.
It's just like a chef's kiss of just.
I feel like I saw Dragonfly Jones. You saying like I really wanted to see Clippers Lakers, but how Twitter's gonna look if the Clippers blow this 3-1 lead. It's really just a win-win for me.
It's a win-win, yeah, dude. It was literally a win-win. Like, yeah, they were like, dude, just up there, everybody's shitting on them. It was just like it's like the good old days.
Whew. Yeah, that was fucking beautiful. I'm so glad. It couldn't have happened to anybody better than Paul George, who I also think has probably been one of the most overrated superstars of all time. But
and it's crazy because he was third in MVP last year. So like the skill is there. I just don't know like.
Sucks, bro. He's
I guess
terrible.
it just like.
He hits the playoffs, he just fucking chokes it away like fucking Reggie Miller's grabbing his neck. Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, so let's see. The last thing we were going to talk about was the PS5 press reveal, right?
Yep. Yep.
So it was revealed to be, I want to say, $4.99 for the regular version
For the disc one, yeah.
and then $3.99 for the digital version.
Yep.
So how do you feel about it? How does that affect your views on the next console?
I mean, I was a 360 guy, like I've said before, all throughout college in the last 10 years of my life or longer, to the point where I still say Y when I mean to say triangle. So I saw these and then I switched to PS4. I don't know if I'll ever go back to the Xbox, their equivalent, the X series. I kind of don't even want to go into that because the names are so fucked up that I don't even know
that shit.
How.
I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. Like, look, the Nintendo has the most nonsensical fucking console systems. They're super cool, but like if we're talking about like what a game system looks like and is in your hands, the Nintendo is just fucking lost their fucking mind. The GameCube was like normal. I mean, it looked ridiculous. It was a cube, and the shit had an actual fucking handle on the back, like just to carry it around with in one hand. It's ridiculous.
Uh-huh.
But like it was still, and the controller was funky. And if you even go back to the N64, the controller was a fucking mess. But then like after that, it was the Wii. The Wii had fucking nunchucks for handles, for controllers, and like was like just this weird like little slim box, and you know had the motion controls and everything. Super weird. Then the Wii U came out, which I do think was a naming mistake to use the same name before and just add like a letter to it. Because then it doesn't seem like the next; it just seems like a version of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yep.
But it had like a full fucking tablet for a controller, and had like the same kind of slim like like console. Then the fucking Switch came out, and the Switch is like, nah, dog, we just have a fucking 3DS. Like you just have your regular like. This shit's just like a big Game Boy Advance. Like you can put it and set it on your TV, or you can just fucking take it with you. And still, again, like two separate nunchuck like remotes, like as your controller. It's fucking nonsense. But even their fucking names are more clear than the Xbox names. Like they, whoever was designing this lost their fucking mind, and it was still easier to follow than the Xbox One. Like, 'cause there was the Xbox 360, which is a weird convention to go 360, but still pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. It's like the N64, like it's just like Nintendo 64. It's like a just a fucking number. And 360 is like, oh, it's like a globe. It's like a world. Like it makes sense.
Right. Then came the Xbox One. What the fuck? Why have the first Xbox, Xbox 360, and then Xbox One? I was like immediately like, this is dumb. Then they had the Xbox One S, right, which was like a slim version of the Xbox One.
Yes, and then I kind of forgive them because it's like you said, it's like
for
the Wii U, right?
Yeah.
Like it's like you expect it to be like just the smaller version of a previous, or like some sort of like Do you remember there was a PlayStation, right? The big boxy one.
Yep.
And then there was like a slender version, like PS1. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Yeah, it's like that.
So I get that. That is totally fair. Then there's the Xbox One X, which like now it's like really we got a whole lot of fucking X's and O's, bro. Like in your name, Xbox One X. Just it seems like a lot. But that is basically like the pro version of the PS4, right? It's still the same gaming generation, but it's got like some better specs, can possibly do, 4K or whatever on some games and, just look a little better. But then they have the Xbox Series X, which is now the next generation. So we went Xbox 360, totally fine. Xbox One, don't know. Xbox One X, all right, now it's just like annoying to say. And then Xbox Series X. It's like, why? Why are you doing this? And then they came out with a cheaper, worse version of the next gen console called the Xbox Series S. And you already have an Xbox One S. What the fuck are you doing, bro?
It's
and even more ridiculous is the Xbox Series S, which is the next gen one, right? The small next gen, like digital only one.
Yep.
It's actually got worse specs than the Xbox Series X. So, like, it's weaker console. But the thing is, it's also weaker than the Xbox One X. Like, it's next gen, but it's got, like, worse specs across the board than what's out now.
Exactly. Just because it's
what the fuck
cheaper,
are you doing?
Yeah. And, like, I feel like sometimes, like, for me, like, I don't even try to keep up sometimes because it's so confusing what they offer. I personally don't know, like, sort of the specs and stuff, but I know some of them were like, well, this one's 4K, and then the thing that's fucking just breaking my brain is backwards compatibility. Everybody's always like backwards compatibility so that we can play older games, but then it's like you have to have this membership, but then it's like only some of the games, but they'll play some of the games, but only the remastered versions, but we won't give you the new versions, and I'm just like, oh my god, just can I play just video games?
I've basically given up on backwards compatibility. I think the infrastructure in consoles, like in this case, like the operating system, like the Windows or the whatever the fuck Mac calls it, like just changes too drastically to make things happen. You know what I mean? To like make the upgrades possible. I think it changes too drastically to like consistently be able to catch everything that's happened before. You know what I mean? Um, like there are games on your PC that like can't run on your PC because they're too old, and then you have to like download a program that just makes like gives yourself like its own window. It's like nah, now this is a program on your PC that just runs Windows 98. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? And then you can play your game on Windows 98. And so like you don't have that level of customization on consoles. So, like backwards compatibility, I just feel like is never going to universally be a thing. You know what I mean? I don't think
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
ever just going to be guaranteed to play like PS 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Like I'm gonna play like Xbox on the Xbox 1000, and I'm gonna be able to play everything. It's gonna be
The
like
Xbox
no
1000 SO fucking X.
XO area exclamation point asterisk asterisk dash one.
Yeah, dash one still.
But and then yeah, and then on that one the Call of Duty update will be 1 terabyte.
right.
Thank you. Um, but I mean in terms of the going back to the PS5, I mean that's fine. I honestly was anticipating like $600.
I was expecting 600 and 500,
Yeah, yeah.
not 500 and 400. So I was pleased when I saw it.
And I've
But
always heard that early on they sort of have to just eat the they're not making money off of it is what I've
correct.
heard.
Yep. In the early stages, you're not making money. You're just trying to basically get like market share. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
you're at least on your consoles, like you're not going to make money because the thing is that when they design a console, they design it so that it's going to be good for roughly 7 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At least in some capacity. You know what I mean? Like now they come out with the Pro about halfway through, so there's a better version about halfway through. But like the PS4 still plays every game the PS4 Pro does, so
Hmm.
like it has to be supported for 7 years. And because things evolve and games get bigger and more expensive and have a million more assets and are harder to run, like at the very beginning they're like topping out like what is available. You know what I mean? Like they're like getting like the best of the best or close to it, and then using their own proprietary software to bridge the gap between now and 7 years from now. So, but the price still has to be viable. You know what I mean? So it's like we're not going to make money because the stuff we're buying is like super expensive for what we're doing right now.
Right.
It won't be expensive later. We'll still
Right.
be able to make money on it later. But right now, we need to get this in people's hands.
Right. Yeah.
And that was that was one of the problems with the PS3 is the PS3 came out a whole year later than the 360, and like it
Mm.
lost a lot of market share because if people
So
want
it's
a
about
next gen console, they want it now. And the PS3 when it came out was like I want to say almost $200 more expensive than the 360. So it's like Jesus, you know what I mean? You're waiting a
it
year
also
and getting
feels
yeah,
bigger. Like in my memory, like I just remember this sort of oblong, like fucking
oh yeah, it was a funky shape,
just
dude.
big.
Yeah,
While the 360 it wasn't slender or anything, and I remember turning it on and it sounded like a jet was taking off sometimes.
exactly.
Um, but I do remember it sort of looking sleeker than the 360.
It had a good shape. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
The
Yeah.
PS3 did not.
Yeah. Yeah.
This PS3
Um,
looks like it was flat and then someone pumped it with air. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? It's
yeah,
like
and it just like expanded it.
it
That's
just-
I actually and that's why I really like the 4. Like I like the 4 design. It's just like a cylinder black box, and I think I'll like the 5 as well. I honestly do not see myself getting it this year though. Both because I've been fine with my 4. I have so many games to play on my 4, and I think a lot of people will still be on 4 for the foreseeable future. And also, I don't think I'll even be able to have access to one. I don't. Did you
yeah,
see like
they botched the rollout.
the rollout is all messed up, and then people are pre-selling and it's selling out like that. It's like a sneaker drop.
Yeah, that was the thing is I probably would have, but now looking at it, I mean, like Walmart is saying they should have some more stock like to be available for pre-order, like, which is a weird thing because it's definitely not here. Like they like we'll have more stock for pre-orders on fucking the 22nd of September, but it's just like, what do you mean more stock? Like it's not there yet. What are you talking about?
It's all hypothetical. It's all You're just I'm just sort of going off of your word that you will have them.
Right. So if I can manage to get my hands on a pre-order, I'll probably pre-order one. Like gaming is probably my number one hobby,
Yeah.
more than watching anything or anything like that. So I will probably be getting one if I get my hands on it this year. But if not, I mean, I'll get it when it's available. But one other thing I wanted to mention just about it is that like the PlayStation 5 the PlayStation 5 and Xbox One are kind of like competing, and then over like what's funny to me is that Nintendo has basically just been doing their own shit since the GameCube. So like the GameCube came out and it was like right there with like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox. Like they were kind of there. Like there were I feel like a decent amount of games that you could play on your GameCube and play on your PS2, right? Like it was a lot of third party games, is what they call them. And it was super awesome. But then like I feel like the Wii came out before. Maybe it didn't. Maybe it came out around the same time. But like maybe it came out before the Xbox 360 and the PS3.
I think they were both. I think the 360 was 2006, and I think the Wii was too.
Okay. So, but the thing was is that like I said about the design of like the Wii, it had immediately what the oh, okay, never mind. Woo! I googled Wii release date and it said 2012 and I was like, nah, dog. And that was the Wii U. I was like, nah, dog, what the fuck?
I was there in middle school, man. I was there. I seen it. I seen Wii's.
But yeah, so like it was so bizarre. It, like I said, it had literal fucking nunchucks.
Yeah.
Like it was not competing with the 360 in any market. You know what I mean? Like
right. But dude, like it was huge though.
Oh, it was. It sold out. But the thing is like kind of what I'm talking about is that like third party play like Call of Duty was like, what the fuck am I gonna do? Like I've designed this game to work with a controller, and I've designed it to work on a 360, which has like next gen level specs, right?
Yeah.
And I have this Wii that's not even close to the 360 on specs. It's got fucking nunchucks for handles, bro. Like, how am I supposed to design a game for this? You know what I mean? And that's kind of like what every third party system or every third party developer was looking at. You know what I mean? Because like Activision isn't owned by Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo, so like we just make games and put them out. But like I don't know what the fuck this Nintendo's doing, and I don't know what the fuck to do with it. So the Wii was like the first one where I feel like I remember specifically like if you wanted to play a Call of Duty game or any game that wasn't a Nintendo game, you were shit out of luck. Like it's not gonna show up on the Wii. And then the same thing with the Wii U, and kind of the same thing with the Switch. Like there's definitely more on the Switch than on the Wii U, but like the Switch is still just a weaker console by quite a bit. So like game developers are like, I made this version that works on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, and like I'd have to make a whole new game just to get it to work on your system, and it's just not worth it most of the time. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because also if you're buying a Switch, you're not buying it for like Call of Duty. You're buying it for fucking Mario Kart. You know what I mean? Like that's what you're in it for.
Yeah.
But like I legitimately got upset like 2 weeks ago. I was thinking about it and I was like, I never get to play Nintendo games because I don't want to spend my money on a console where like I can't play all the other games I like.
Right.
So like I never get to play the newer Mario games. I never get to play like Donkey Kong, Zelda, any of those. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And in my head I'm just like, why the fuck can't Nintendo just make a regular ass console? Like why do I have to be able to take it on the go and then beat someone's ass with it like nunchucks, bro? Like why do I have to have a full tablet in my hand? I just want to play Nintendo games on the same console I could play like Call of Duty on. That shit would blow the competition out of the water. Because the thing is the like Mario games are never fucking bad. Zelda games are never bad, even though I don't like them. Like
they're literally like every single time that a Mario or Zelda game of the year. It's like game of the year. It's like the greatest game ever. Like fucking, I think Galaxy to this day is the highest rated game on Metacritic of all time. Right. It's like the perfect, like just the perfect distillation of what gaming is every single time that they come out with something.
Right. And it's like always like it's the perfect amount of like sticking to your roots and people knowing what they're getting when they play your game. And then, you know, what's the one I'm looking for here?
But I guess, you know, like that we sort of just explained why they do that because they literally can.
But they can do that with the games. They don't need to do it with the fucking controllers. They don't need to make my shit mobile. Like and like that's the reason I never get to play them.
Just playing the Switch on my girlfriend just got one recently, and they have like the sort of port thing where you put the two sides of the Switch on it, and it feels.
Right.
I mean, it's not like as good as like the Xbox 360 controller that we talked about being the best of all time, or
Right.
even the PS4 one, but it's solid. Like it's better than the Wii U, which I have played before, and it's
Right.
very
It's very
clunky.
unwieldy.
Yes, yes. I think the only time that I'm not a huge fan of is when when we want to play like a two-player game and we do like
You
the
do the
little
sideways fucking
the sideways thing. Like
yeah.
it's serviceable, like for Mario
Right.
Kart or whatever. But I wouldn't imagine playing something like Zelda or something like that. Something that wasn't like a party game like that. But just playing. We were playing Overcooked, and I was playing with that controller with the docking, the mini. I don't know what you would call it. The docking for the controllers themselves, and you
Right.
put it up on the TV. I mean, and it looked just like my PS4, and it felt as close as you could get it in that sort of in between
Yeah.
thing. And then
It's the problem of like the Switch runs like has better specs when it's put in the dock than when it's handheld.
yeah,
Because it's having to use less processing power to display it. It's just putting it through the HDMI cable. So, like, if you're Mortal Kombat, for say, because Mortal Kombat did come out on the Switch, which is hilarious, to have, like, the Switch is, like, the family-friendliest fucking thing, and Mortal Kombat came over. But, like, when you design Mortal Kombat, then you have to design it for the lowest common denominator. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Like you have to be like this game has to work on the Switch when you pull it out of the dock, and so that means our game has to look worse. Like we have to use more like tricks or magic to like make it look okay because we can't
Right.
do everything we did on the PS4. And so a
Right,
lot
right.
of third party places are like it's not worth my time to like go through all this extra work just to get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just want a normal fucking console. Like I want to play Mario, and then when I don't want to play Mario, just be like, okay, I'll just play fucking
Grand Theft
Overwatch with my
Auto.
friends.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
but that shit ain't gonna happen with a Nintendo console. The
Right.
fucking next Nintendo console is not. It's gonna be fucking the fucking Power Gloves, bro. You know what I'm talking about?
Maybe Xbox 1000 X259-1 will have Nintendo games.
That's true. Yeah, maybe Nintendo will get bought out. That shit's never getting bought out.
No,
Nintendo's gonna go
'cause-
so strong because they have all the best like IPs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like as long as Nintendo puts out Mario games, never gonna fail.
Yeah.
Never lost. Like,
And have you seen the Mario World in Japan? They're like building a theme park. It's not that big.
what?
It's like I would say like a large mall size.
Mhm.
But it's like you walk in and it's like you are in like a Mario level, and there's like pipes, and it's pretty much like the Harry Potter world, but for Mario shit.
Oh, that's amazing. I need to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm never
yeah.
gonna actually go to Japan for a theme park, but I
mean,
would like to.
It's. I was gonna say. I was like, it might be worth it. Like I spent all of my savings to get this before the world cooks.
Oh yeah, great. All right, that's a great way to fucking end episode for the world cooks. All right, guys. Well, on that note, if you want to catch the podcast on social media, it's at Diff Animals Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Mhm.
If you want to catch me, I'm at T Moneybags on Instagram and Twitter. And you?
And I'm at Evercastro92 on Instagram.
And if you want to email us directly for the podcast, you can catch us at differentanimalspodcast@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm.
We'll take any feedback we can get. You can tell us, even if you like it and you tried to get somebody else to watch it and they thought it sucked, let us know. Anything like just so we can get some feedback, know what we can change. You want it to be more free flowing, we can try that. You want it to be more structured, we can try that. Just anything, even if you just want to say, keep it up, everything's going great. You can email us there or mention us on Twitter and Instagram. So spread it word of mouth if you could. We'd appreciate it, right? So, yeah, if you want to just let anybody know, can you come up with any quick fucking homework?
Tell the last person you you had a either a duo or a team Halloween costume with.
Ooh, that's a good one. Yeah, so if you've done a team or group costume, get everyone that was involved with that fucking costume to listen to the podcast. So, stay safe, stay entertained, and we'll catch y'all next week.
See you guys.
Peace. Oh.
Yeah.
In honor of us talking about video games for a good chunk of this episode, it reminded me of one of my favorite Kanye rants. So instead of a lyric, we're going to get this 40-second Kanye rant. All right?
Do you know how many times I sat with people and said, hey, I want to make a store? And they said, how could you make a store? Blah, blah, blah. It's in my code. It's in my code. Have y'all ever seen Wreck-It Ralph?
Yeah.
You remember how that girl in there, the people that was racing, they were, she was the glitch.
Yeah.
You telling me they don't look at me like the motherfucking glitch? You telling me people don't look at Kanye West like the glitch right now? And she was on the side of the video game the whole time. It's in my code. It's in my code.
My man said she was on the side of the video game. So serious, bro. He thought he fucking made some like grand analysis. He was like, she was on the side of the video game the whole time. God, yo, after I had a friend show me this recently, and after he showed it to me, I spent like the next week being like, you think they don't look at me like I'm the motherfucking glitch? Oh God.
I wonder what he thinks of Wreck-It Ralph too.